everyone in the UFC knows the trending love fest, if you want to say, for Jon Jones by Dana White. Now, there's a video, I watched the entirety of it, and it was discussing, I forget the reporter's name, but there was a report going back and forth with Dana White for 13 minutes or so, and it was interesting to hear Dana White go about it, because a lot of me honestly thinks that Dana White's kind of just playing this off. He's a promoter at the end of the day. We know what he's great at. He knows how to promote guys. He knows how to get clicks. He's great at that whole industry. He knows what he's doing. And this has been a trending phenomenon, and we've seen how many times he keeps on promoting Jon Jones. He keeps getting him ready, getting him hyped up, talking about him, talking him up, all these different things. So I get that. It's what job promoters do. But when it got serious in this talk, really was interesting to hear Dana White. It clearly comes down to this for Dana White. Dana White views Jon Jones as active based upon the fact that even though it will be 20 months since the last time he's fought, and it will be one time in 4 years that he's fought, that due to the fact that, well, he was scheduled to fight, but he got hurt, that means he's active. All right. Let me just say my stance on it. And I get it. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Everyone can have their own opinion. But just since this is a training topic, when I want to get into it, my take, and this goes for every single sport, injuries are still time off. And actually, at the end of the day, when you're talking about an inactive fighter or an athlete, you're looking at it and saying, well, is it going to be the same? What's going on with this time span? We have nothing to grade. But when an injury is involved, that actually makes it even a harder thing to judge, because now is he going to be back to the same self that he was prior to injury? How severe was the injury? How much does it impact him? And so at the end of the day, I look at this and I say, how could we call him number one when he hasn't fought in 20 months, and that's regarding a serious injury, and one time in 4 years? So it does come down to, I agree, you should have to rank guys based upon how active they are. And so if Dana White believes that Jon Jones has been active, then obviously no changing his mind. It is what it is. If that's active to Dana White, then that's active. But in my eyes, I don't say it's active. So how would I possibly rank this then? Well, my thing is this. If he's ranked, and this is my confusing part where it kind of contradicts a lot of things here, because a lot of people will look at this and say, okay, Dana White has this ranking, and he claims that it's because he's been active, but then the media all says, well, he's dropping in rankings because he's not been active. Okay, so how is he number 3 then if he is not active? And I get a lot of this, how it all works and all, but still, if I'm looking at it and how I would rank it, if a guy's not active and he hasn't fought in a year, let alone 20 months, almost 2 years, then there should be some kind of essentially, he's kind of just floating above the rankings for that time span. Like, you kind of just lift him up off the papers, interim, however you want to label it, but you just can't rank him for the time span. Yet, when he goes back out there and performs eventually, at that point in time, you can insert him right back into that ranking. So if he goes out and demolishes Stipe at Madison Square Garden in a couple months, then you can drop him right back there at number 1. But if the story here is, we're just going to keep him there, we're just going to drop him a couple of spots just because we're going to drop him a couple of spots, then that doesn't really make a lot of sense, because he's still not been as active as guys behind him. So that's really where the confusing part is. That's why for me, a lot of time when I'm looking at guys in basketball, and I've done rankings before, what I do is I'll say, okay, we're going to take Jon Jones and we're going to take this injured guy. I'm just not going to really rank him because of the fact to put an asterisk above it. He's hurt. But because of what we know from his history, if he comes out and dominates right away, then he goes right back to where he was before. That's how I personally would do these rankings, because that's how it should be done. Because at the end of the day, you just don't know. You don't know what the impact of the injury is. You don't know what he's going to be because of the injury layoff. Also, he's getting up there in age. So you just don't know what he's at right now. And so that's hypothetically what I would do. But ultimately, like I said, it comes down to, is he active or not? And if he is active in Dana White's eyes, then you can't change that. If that's active to Dana White, then it's active. And there's nothing you can do about that. So Dana White, he clearly likes Jon Jones. He's hyping him up. He's doing his job. Nothing against that. And he can have his own opinion. However, him being ranked number 1 makes no sense to me whatsoever. I don't see how it's possible, because I don't view him as active. And so if you don't view him as active, there's no reason he should be number 1. And quite frankly, putting him anywhere in the rankings really doesn't make much sense at this point in time. But that's what we've got right now for that segment regarding the Dana White and Jon Jones number 1 pound for pound ranking debate.